Good morning, afternoon, all. I'm your host, Drake, with our co-host, Sir Actness. He's currently
So,
going through some. Okay, I see how it is. Yeah, you're going through some pain. You're hoping to get better. Send him some love at some point. We have our co-host Bailey with us today. Bailey, how are you doing?
I'm a co-host now? Yeah, I'm good, man.
Whatever. Best.
Been
You
promoted
exist.
already.
I mean, you're better than Shuriken.
Whoa. So. No call-outs. We discussed this beforehand. No call-outs.
Fine. I got you. Nah, Shuriken's just been having some problems. We'll get him fixed soon.
We'll
soon
get
enough.
him fixed. Or them fixed.
He will get it fixed soon enough. Anyway, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm a little tired. I just got back from football training, which is soccer to you guys. Yeah, been doing that for a few hours today. We good.
Yeah, it sounds like fun. I got you.
It's tiring. That's why there's no energy in my voice.
I mean, I would believe it.
Yeah, despite being like this 24/7. Yeah.
Can't understand being tired. Anyway, to start off our conversation, how can we make Goblin Giant an actual Clash Royale card instead of being bad?
Oh, is this where we're going?
Actual trash.
Mate, I have an idea, right? This is I don't want to plug anything, but I said this in a video, right? Why don't we just make the Goblin Giant extremely fast? Just make him essentially a hog rider, right? Because in the little intro video that they did on Radio Royale or whatever they want to call it, they were like, oh, you can use him as a punish play. Sure, but he's not like that potent, right? But if he got to the tower in like 0.1 seconds, he would be like an OP punish play. And I feel like just making him so fast would be a interesting buff, to say the least. I'm not like... I get this in the comments a lot about adding like another spear gob, but I have no idea how overpowered that'd be, just because we've never had like invincible units before. So I think I would prefer them to just up the movement speed. I don't know how any of you feel about that, but I think that's how I'd do it.
Okay. Actness, do you have any comments before I jump in?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So personally, I do feel that the Goblin Giant, if we did make it super fast, and then you would definitely probably put it in the meta, because it wouldn't just be a good power play, but you have to think about it like this. It's a really good tank, and its tanking ability, and you got to think about this as well. They have the 2 spear goblins in the back. That can give you a lot of chip, and I think it would make it an even better punishing play, and it would really make that fall into meta. Like, Gullum would be dead, because unless you can have a pump in hand, you could easily punish, and it would, like, destroy the first tower easily.
Yeah, I'm with that.
So I don't think that's necessary. I think it is fast, correct?
Yeah. It's
Yes.
medium. No, I think it's medium. I think all the other tanks are slow.
Slightly
and I think that one's
faster
medium.
than
Yeah.
every other tank.
If the speed is medium, I think we should make it fast.
Yeah.
I think extremely fast is too quick, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm down with fast.
I'm of the opinion where it needs a little bit of a health buff, like, I don't know, like a 5% maybe. I don't know, somewhere in that range. And you change out the Spear Goblins for a Dark Goblin. As, like, I understand, like, the Dark Goblin's good, but maybe you can make it where it's hit by spells or something. I don't know how you change that. That would be an interesting interaction.
See, I'm cool with the Dark Gob. But I think Supercell like aren't into doing that. I think they'd rather keep the core of the card what it is. Like with Barbarian Barrel, this may have just been a meme, but when it first came out, I was like, put an E-Barb in there, see what happens, right? But I don't think Supercell would ever do that. I think they want to keep the core of every card the same. I like the idea, but I don't think it's like a viable thing that they'd do. I think personally, it's like in an undefined role at the moment. I think it either needs to be something you build around, or it needs to be a punish play. And I think just tweaking the movement speed, either way, like you can make it slow or fast, but just tweak the movement speed so we know what we're doing with it. We're not just sort of putting it down and it's doing its thing.
Yeah.
For me, it just dies way too fast.
Yeah, that's
like it doesn't even it barely takes down a tower.
Yeah.
That's for 6 elixir. That's, in my opinion, not good enough.
Here's a fun fact.
As a tank play.
If it's left alone, the Goblin Giant does more damage, like it'll take a tower, and then it'll do more damage to the King Tower than a normal Giant will. Granted, it costs one more.
Because you have Spear Goblins.
Yeah. But granted, it costs one more, but that's still a fun fact.
Yeah. But then there's also the fact that you can counter with Swarm Troops, but they don't do as much as they normally would to a tank.
Yeah. because
But
of the spear
I'm
goblins.
of the opinion where it just needs to be like, it needs to be a tank and not just a knight with some spear goblins on his back.
Well, what they're trying to do is they're trying to come up with a unique ability. You know,
It is
you have
very
the
unique.
Goblin Giant. You were saying that you were saying that it wasn't a good tank. It's 2039-40, 2,394 tournament standard, and then you have the unique ability with the Spirit Goblins on the back. I feel it already is a tank, and with the Swarm Troops, that's why you carry a spell like a Zap or a Log.
Sure, I gotcha. Like, I'm just of the opinion where just like, while it does tank, it doesn't take well enough for it to be considered like a punish play. Like, there's also cheaper punish plays. Like, they go in for, I don't know, something like a pump at the back, or they go in for a heavier play, like a giant or something like 5 or 6 elixir. You can just go use battle ram. It's a much more punishing play that allows you to have more elixir to defend.
Yeah, Hog Rider as well. Like, there's so many better, like, more potent punish cards, which is why I'm like, make it faster. But like, the health is also an issue because it costs like 17% more than a giant, but I believe its health is like 40% worse or something. It's pretty bad.
Here, I'll do a quick check. Giant's health attorney standard is 3344.
Yeah, so like 1,000 more. I mean, 1,000
yeah, so it's roughly 1,000 more.
Yeah. So like considering
I don't
it has
have Goblin Giant locked on my account.
Considering it has like 2,400, it's like
yeah,
it's about
almost
40.
2,400.
Yeah, I did it in a video, so that's the only reason I have those stats off the top of my head.
Got you.
Yeah, I didn't sort of just work those out.
Okay. Another subject I really wanted to touch on was how do we feel about spells and in general as part of a meta?
That is a
like
huge question.
Like how?
You mean Zap?
Here, I'll rephrase it myself.
Yeah.
No, I mean like Snowball existing, or how would we change it so there's more variation between spells? Like, will they all do damage, or they all do a certain particular thing? They all kind of just mix up.
Wait,
into
is your question on how we make them all different, or is your question on if every deck running a spell is good or bad?
I mean, a little bit of both, honestly. Like, how would we differentiate between spells, and how would we change that, make them more interesting? And how do we feel about like Zap and Log being the only actual 2-mana spells being played?
Okay, can I start with the if spells are good or bad thing?
Sure.
Right. Okay. So right at the start of the game, right, it sort of became the meta that decks would run 2 spells, right? So they've sort of just solidified themselves as something you need in decks. And to me now, the game has been out too long for any major changes to be made to decks, so you don't run a spell anymore. I think it's now literally a feature of the game that like every deck will run spells, just like, you know, ladder is a feature and tournaments are a feature. So I don't think they can do anything to that, but in an ideal world, what I think they should have done at the start of the game when they saw this forming, if they thought it was an issue, obviously I'm not a developer, I don't have a say in that, but I think maybe if they're going to change it, they should have done it at the start of the game, and I think we'd see like splash cards be so much better because you wouldn't just clear swarms with spells.
Yeah.
That's
I'm gonna make a little opinion on this.
Yeah, go.
I think it would be interesting if you saw like a spell that could generate troops, or a troop that would like
Barbarian
does
barrel.
what the goblin yeah, like that. Like if they made that sort of thing more
with
like
an elite
more
barb.
into an actual whatever you want. It's like more as a part of the game, or you added like the goblin giant. It makes 2 spirit goblins. That's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
What if you like tried to make some sort of like barrel, but like slightly more interesting, like
With an elite barb.
it's a sure, like whatever you want to do, but like that sort of idea. But at the end of the spell, it makes a unit.
Yeah.
Like more ideas like that.
So sort of moving away from spells and moving into troops is what you want to see.
Yeah, like or troops moving into like becoming a spell. Like giant skeleton is basically a rocket on a stick.
I'm so glad you said this.
Ooh.
There's a meme in my Discord server that like giant skeleton is just a portable rocket, and I'm so glad you just said that. That's a quality line. Continue, man.
That's the quality line. It's like that's how I like to think of it. Like if it ever gets to the tower, it destroys the tower, but it also has the rocket ability. Like I would like to see more things that units acting as spells or spells acting as units. There's too much differentiation between this is a troop and this is a spell.
I think that's
and
important.
not like a little bit of a mixture.
I think that's important for new
Lumberjack
players
Rage.
though, because like if you're a new player, I think it's important to know what everything does, if that makes sense. So you know that spells, they don't become troops. And you know that troops, they don't become spells, right? And they're very different because
Sure.
spells can go anywhere. They're the only thing you control on offense, if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because as soon as everything crosses the river, you have no control. And that's like why defense is so like strong, because you're controlling it all. But that's why spells are also so strong, because that's the only thing you can do on offense to change like how your offense goes. Sorry, I got distracted by a Windows noise there.
I gotcha. Another thing you could do is change how all the spells are. Like maybe you want to introduce like just troops or just spells into arenas. Like this is how we're gonna change things or introduce them in a certain order. Like they already did that and they changed up like hogs in arena 1, hunters in arena 1, for example.
Yeah.
That's interesting, but it doesn't really change anything.
Sure.
It changes stuff for newer players, obviously, right? I like the idea. I didn't mean to stop it. It doesn't change anything. What I meant was it doesn't change anything for people who play tournament standard or
Who
a
already
higher
played the
ladder.
game.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I mean.
gotcha.
It obviously changes stuff for the newer players who are still going through the arenas, but like that doesn't affect me. I haven't looked at where like all of the new cards are arranged because I already have them all. It doesn't affect
You
me.
don't care.
I'm at the top, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't care less. It doesn't affect me.
Yeah,
Pretty
but
much.
that was basically based on you saying that newer players needed to differentiate between these.
Yeah.
So that would be a way to fix that.
Yeah, I can see it.
It's just like there's a different meta in every arena.
Yeah. Like there's always going to be a different meta in every arena, though.
Elite barbs.
You can also do whatever. Calm down, sir. We see that you love your elite barbs.
I call them elite babes on my channel because they are babes.
Ooh.
Yeah, we in there with
In somebody's heart.
I don't actually like them, they're just a meme. I promise that at 10k subs, if we ever get there, that will max the elite barbs just for the meme.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I ever have max elite barbs just randomly sitting around, they're getting max. Just so everybody knows.
Yes, you with me.
Like I have mine at like 5,000 out of like 800 or something. They're getting there. Eventually they'll be max.
See, mine are level 12. Because I think it was for...
Oh, that's nasty.
No. I have a reason. I think it was for 1,000 or 5,000. I did an Elite Barbs tech video. I think it was 1,000. So I upgraded them in the intro and the outro as like a bit of a meme. So I'm really lax with my gold. Yeah, I don't use them. Admittedly, my Royal Giant's 12 because I used to use that, but Elite Barbs, no.
Yeah, I gotcha. Okay. Something else I wanted to change or ask you guys about is how can we affect like the general community to agree on something? Because we can all agree on like free emotes or changing levels or whatever, but how can we actually try to change like we want to see something changed?
Drake, something I actually don't agree with free emotes.
Yeah, I don't either.
Okay. Neither do I. I'm not a fan.
I like how the statement is we all agree with free emotes and none of us does. None of us do.
Why? I don't think it is because you have to think how if they're gonna start making the game more free to play, they need to spend money through cosmetics.
There you
like
go.
Yes.
does. And
that's where
if
I'm
you wanna
at.
make the game more free to play, you gotta make money somehow, and that's how I feel Clash Royale needs so much money lately through cosmetics. Like everyone gets the new emotes. It's just something they're like. I always get the new emotes. The only emotes I haven't gotten recently with Royal Hotness. Otherwise, I pretty much have every emote.
Can I play devil's advocate to that? Can I like take a point of view that I don't actually agree with and sort of push it at you?
Yeah,
I mean, you could.
Okay, so you say it makes the game more free to play, right? In essence, I agree with it personally, but I think what people would argue is that having things that cost isn't free to play.
Wait,
Sure, but that's.
I said, so
continue.
in essence, I agree with your point, but I think where people would like dispute it is saying that having things that cost is not free to play.
That's a very terrible argument. I will explain
It's
why.
not my argument.
Like, I know it isn't. I know. But like, if you go and buy or you pre-buy a game, you pre-order a game, you pay your $60 or whatever amount, you're buying the game. If you play a free game, they have to make money somehow. They can't just say it's free. There's ads in some way, or there's in-game content that you can buy for a set amount. There's no truly free game. That doesn't exist.
Pretty much. I mean, even in like Call of Duty, and even when you buy the game itself, they sell DLC maps and stuff, and people wind up buying those. And that doesn't it tears free to play in a way, but it doesn't affect like your skill. Like you can play a certain map, and it depends on your skill level. You're purchasing to buy certain maps. It's like the same thing with Clash Royale. The only thing I'll play devil's advocate for myself. The only reason I could see emotes being beneficial for like free to play players is if like a specific emote is like really annoying and someone buys it and uses it against them. So like the Hog Rider emote, the yellow screen emote.
I couldn't.
That's such a good emote.
Off, that could be a benefit to pay to win players.
If I get that as the cheap deal, I'm definitely buying that. That's such a good emote.
Yeah.
Just the sound effect. But for me, not everyone plays with sound, but it's such a good emote.
Yeah. Nope, I don't play with sound. Zero sound.
I don't really either.
But for me, on the emotes, what they need to stop doing is making them in chests or other things instead of just the emotes. That's what I think people are mad with. Them being like, oh look, the hog emotes are part of this $20 bundle. I can't afford this. I can afford if they're like $3, like which they normally are. Yeah. Like if they add extra content to it, then it just makes it more expensive, and that's what I think they disagree with.
I think it should be optional content. So like you can buy it for the normal price, or you can get a discount on all this other stuff if you would like it. Because personally, I'm not in the business of spending like £20 or dollars on a mobile game in one drop. Like I don't really want to be doing that, but I do want the emotes. So it's sort of I'm not gonna buy it because I don't give in to that stuff. But I sort of just wait for it to come back around.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah. So again, with the free to play thing. If they did add emotes for free-to-play players, I think they should put it in, like, super magical chests. And if they do it, like, one emote, not even, like, a full pack.
On the part of, like, emotes, if they were actually free, which I'm completely against still, people are going to hate me for it. But I think if you reach, like, look, I reached 49, 5,200 this season. Oh, look, it's going to be in your draft chest because you reach this new personal high, or you reach this certain thing. You get an exclusive emote that no one else besides people who went there gets.
Ooh.
That's huge.
Like that would be a reason to push ladder.
Using PVs, that would be interesting.
Can I like fight my old point of like them like the if emotes cost they're not free to play?
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
So sure. You have to pay for it, but all you're really gaining is some different colored pixels on a screen. Nothing actually changes, right? So I think, like, obviously that's my argument to saying, oh, but it's not free to play if they cost. Just to, assert my point.
Just
that
to
wasn't
continue
my
the
point.
argument.
Yeah, it wasn't my point. I argue against myself all the time.
I gotcha. No, I gotcha. But just like that's how like a lot of other big games are making their money. Like I'm to quote a forbidden word here, Fortnite. Ooh, I'm a bad boy for saying such a word. Like they're making tons of money off of skins. That's the only way they're making money.
Yeah, it's the future of money monetization.
That's something that's a big thing that's going on.
Yeah.
And so realistically, we can continue to say you can buy this DLC content, or we can do what some other games are doing is saying, you get the content upon buying the game, but there's also other things you get otherwise.
Yeah.
Well, like if you want to spend extra money. Like, there are a few games that I've been looking into, just like the DLC comes with it. Like, I'm looking at like Fallout 76. DLC comes with it. Like, ooh, that's cool.
I'm like way out of my depth here. I don't buy games.
Oh, sad. But no, like if you when you buy the game, you get the DLC with it. But then there's also skins you can buy. So you're still paying for the game, but you're not paying for any DLC. You already get it.
You want to know what's crazy?
What?
How it's already the 14th, and we're already halfway through this balance change.
Dude, I don't even think about that. Like, I don't think about that. That's
balance changes are already 2 weeks away.
Boys, can I like ask a question? Is that allowed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we all think of two things? Firstly, the state of the game. We'll start with that. Since monthly balances, there is a follow-up.
Okay.
So like,
you want me to start?
Whoever.
Yeah, go for it, Actness.
I'm gonna be honest. I haven't touched ladders for the new season. However, my general opinion for the state of the game recently when they made the season end split thing. So like half your trophies get converted. That's helping trophy inflation a lot, and it's helping break that 4K paywall. For example, when at the time before all that happened, I would hit 4.3K. And now I'm like my top PB is like 4.75. So
Yeah.
it helps me reach a higher personal best because of that. I don't know lower levels. I do have a second account at 3.4K, and currently down there, I feel like there's a lot of over leveling. So I feel like 4K plus, the state of the game is really good for the most part. Other than like maybe like a little over leveling 4K plus. Besides that, under 4K, it's just majorly over leveling.
Okay.
So
For me on the state of the game, like the reset hasn't exactly helped me. Like I've been hitting 5.2 for like 2-3 months now. Like it hasn't exactly helped, but it made like, oh, I don't have to push as hard. I don't have to put as much time into it. I can put the, like, I don't know, 3/4 of the time I would normally put into the game. Like, and I still get to the roughly same area, but then I just hit the wall. Like it's just an additional 100 trophies or so. You just hit the wall where,
I think
oh look,
that's because
now
like
everybody's
everybody who hits
trophy.
the same amount as you is also coming down with you, so you're just sort of facing the same people but in a really big pool.
Yeah, I gotcha. But for me, like the state of the game is still a lot of fun. However, like something that I do get kind of agitated at is just like I'll do ladder, I'll start winning a bit, like get like an 8-win streak or something. Start doing like feeling really well, just like, yeah, I'm doing really well. Everything's going super well. Everything's going great. And then you get hard counted. You just kind of like, okay, this is fine, tilting a little bit, but it's fine. Play another few games. Okay, this is bad. I don't want to play ladder anymore. Well, let's go do some challenges. Oh wait, I can't exactly do challenges without just like, oh, here's 100 gems, whatever. Like it forces you to
I assume you know
have
about
that.
I assume you know about the winners and losers pool on ladder. So when you were saying like you win 8 in a row and then you just sort of get hard counted.
Yeah.
I assume you know this, but I'm going to explain anyway. It's because when you win so many games in a row, you're put into the winners pool and you face people who are also winning 8 in a row. So that's sort of why you lose one and then you lose a load, because you're still in the winners pool even though you've just lost, because you're so positive since you've been playing. I believe that's why. The follow-up question was, so you look at like balance changes ages ago, and you look at more recent balance changes, since they've been doing them monthly, they've gotten like less effective. So not like less efficient, but less effective. So they're doing like really small, like -3% nerfs to 8 cards, whereas before you would see like, you know, -10s, -15s, etc.
Big boy nerfs.
Yeah. Since they've been doing them monthly, they've been doing smaller changes. So I think, this is my opinion, and I'm gonna like ask obviously yours. I think it's better for the game if it's monthly, because like no one can complain, but they're not doing more work because they're doing a monthly. They're just splitting it up to be monthly, opposed to, you know, doing one big one every, you know, 2 months. They're now just doing a half-size one every month.
That would be really interesting.
Yeah,
like a huge balance change, like 20 cards.
Yeah.
Every 2 months. That'd be.
See, it wasn't.
No, I'm not of that opinion.
It wasn't like 20 cards. It was like, you know, they do maybe the same amount of cards, but they do bigger changes. So they were more effective changes, but they were over a longer period of time. So I think all they've done with monthly is they do them more often, sure, but they're less changes. And every month I do like a balance change video, right? I reviewed the changes, and I find myself repeating myself by saying it doesn't really change too much, because the meta's been not the same. It's been different, but the same cards have always been usable, right? Like you have you know, your hog decks, you have your giant decks, you have your golem decks, etc. The meta, like it's a healthy meta, sure. That's why they don't need to do big changes. But I feel like personally, I want to see more, and I want to see more shift up, just because that makes the game more fun than if we're playing technically the same thing for like 3 months straight, because the balances are all like -3% and don't really change much. I'd just like to like get your opinion on if you would maybe not prefer. I just want your opinion on if it's better to do the monthly but smaller, or like a longer period of time but bigger.
Okay. I'm of the opinion that I like the monthly nerfs and balances or whatever. However, it feels like they're unnecessarily buffing or nerfing things. Like the Prince buff did not feel like it was needed at all. It felt like it was a fine card beforehand, and now it's just better now.
Okay,
That's what I feel like.
I don't have any stats on this, but I believe Prince's use rate was like sort of low before they buffed it, and maybe one rate. I don't know. I think the Double Prince meta had definitely subsided. I think it had definitely gone away, and I think a 5% buff, like, I think people overreacted to it. Every Reddit comment on that balance change thread was Prince, 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 Prince. Personally, I agreed with it. I think it's fine, and in the game right now, I don't think Prince is insane. Since they nerfed the like tile it takes to charge, I think giving it 5% health, like, you have to think about it in percentages. Maybe they added another tile. I can't remember what it was. It was like 2.5 or 3. That's a big percentage.
3.5, I think.
Yeah, that's a big percentage. Like, to add on another second. So, to then add only 5% health, I think it's fine. And I think the card is fine. I think it's more balanced than it was. Personally, I didn't freak out about it. I agreed with the nerf, but there you go. Maybe this is one of those things we disagree on.
Yeah. To answer your question before, I came back.
Yeah.
It depends whether or not you get stale of the game and the meta doesn't change within those 3 months, because you could have a big balance change. It could shake up the meta, and then you're sitting on the same meta for 3 months compared to smaller balance changes, which could or could not affect the meta. That's basically my answer.
Yeah, I'm with it.
Depends.
That's fine.
They change, like, it changes the meta, but, like, all we really see is that, like, Valkyrie was so good, right, for months, and now it's sort of not as good, but the same core decks are still there. They just sort of substitute 1 or 2 cards in, so it seems like a meta's changed, but really it's the same 6 cards, but with 2 that have now been buffed, if that makes sense. And I think we find that more with these smaller balance changes as opposed to the big ones.
Yeah. Like the smaller ones enforce, like, oh, this card isn't as good. Let's try out some other things and replace it and mess around with it a bit.
But the decks are still like the same core.
Yeah, they have to still they still have like the 4 same card core, and then maybe they change up 4 cards, maybe they change up 2, whatever. I still think that they really do just buff and nerf. They have like good like 4 to 6 cards that they buff or they nerf for really good ones, and then they buff or nerf for another 2 that aren't really necessary.
See, I like
that. Not like that's fine, but I want the buffs and nerfs to feel relevant.
Yeah, so
like it's more of like it's a feel good thing than anything else.
If you saying buff or nerf cards didn't need it, so I think to clarify, by didn't need it, I don't mean they like nerfed the bad card, and I agree with that. I mean, if they like buff a load of bad cards, I'm cool with that. Like, where Bomber's not in the meta ever, for an example, there are so many cards that are just not viable. And there's like, you know, maybe 40 or 50 that are. And I'd like to see those ones that are left behind, just maybe not all in one, but gradually just all be buffed. That's what I want to see. Because that changed up the meta so much when there's cards that you haven't seen in ages. And I feel like they don't really do that enough. Especially with these smaller changes, they sort of focus on the meta cards and then like maybe a few others.
Okay. Like, that's fine by me. Like, I would love to see like Bomber and these other cards become like playable. However, like a few times ago, they like nerfed Hog. I don't like Hog. I'm not a fan of Hog at all. But even then, it felt like, why are you nerfing Hog? Okay. Why is this something that you're doing, even with a slight nerf?
Once more, in the balance change videos, I went over this. It was a 0.1 hit speed, right? Yeah, so if you, once more, look at it in percentages, it has like a 1.5 hit speed or something like that. So 0.1 seconds... Go for it.
I'm going to do a quick look.
Yeah, go for it.
You can continue though. It's gonna
all
take
right, all right. So the hit speed is like 1 point something. So adding 0.1, it's less than a 10% buff. Sorry, nerf, right? So I think what that was because there were so many community members being like, oh, nerf Hog. I think that was, hey, we're listening, but we don't agree with this. So they gave it like a like tiny little nerf that didn't affect the card at all. It still is not as strong because obviously it got a little nerf, but it still is as common as it used to be.
Like, it changed from a 1.5 to 1.6.
There you go.
But there's other ways that they can show that they're listening to the community other than, like, I once again will say I don't like Hog. Hog doing like almost 1/12 of your tower damage at max is not okay. That's not okay
at
at all.
tournaments, it only needs
But
10 hits to take a tower.
yeah, like that's still like even if it's only getting like 2 hits, that's still super good.
Yeah. That's 20%.
That's still super good, and it's only 4 elixir.
Yeah.
Like even then, it doesn't need the nerf.
Yeah.
Like it needs to stay where it is so that people can rely on. Hey, there's this card. Okay, this is gonna take me like 3 or 4 months, but I can get this max, and I can start actually trying to play the game competitively or try to push on ladder. Like I can actually like. I think win conditions need to remain stable, but you change how the support cards work, unless a new card happens or a mechanic changes so that a win condition has to be
See,
changed.
I don't know about that one, right? Because Graveyard right now it's how would you describe Graveyard's place in the metagame? Give me your description of it.
Graveyard is the most defensive deck. It's a very good defensive deck, and then when it tries to punish, it works most of the time unless they have poison.
Yeah, okay, so
Otherwise it's a very defensive deck that works out rather well.
yeah, I think personally it's a hit or miss, right? They have a million counters and you sort of just lose, or they have no counters and you sort of just win, right? Obviously there's skill in there, which means you can outplay a bad matchup, but like personally, I think it's sort of like a hit or miss. And you said change the support cards instead of the win conditions themselves. I think, say you nerfed Ice Golem, right? That's a support card in Hog.
Sure.
That's enough to Hog decks for sure, but then you also nerf Graveyard decks, which may not warrant it, because I think they're rather balanced.
Sure.
So I think changing
like
the win
Graveyard
conditions
needs to
is
be like buffed a little bit or changed mechanically again.
I agree.
However, like with me, I'm an Expo player. I don't have any direct counters other than archers, and log I guess
that
technically counts. But like even then, like I feel like, hey, even if I don't have any counters, I can still fight against this. I can still like not lose.
Yeah. Again, it's,
like there's still a chance.
It's sort of hit or miss for me, but again, there's obviously skill.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert Graveyard player. I played it when it was like really good, because who didn't? But I haven't really touched it since.
Yeah, I haven't touched Graveyard all that much. Like mine's level 2. Level 10. I'll correct myself now. Like level 10,
I missed
like
it.
I can't exactly play it on ladder.
Yeah.
Because just like that's not a real possibility since it's not level 12.
I mainly play challenges, so it doesn't really affect me. But I don't like it. I don't really like it.
Like the Graveyard play style isn't for me. While I do like playing defensive and then punishing, it's the exact same play style, but I just don't like it.
I like playing defensive, but I don't like the commitment that comes with Graveyard. It's 5 elixir, and that's without supporting it. So, say you need a spell, that's 9 elixir without a tank for it, right? I know you're supposed to defend, and that's how you get your tanks, right? I get that. But yeah, it's just sort of expensive for me. My favorite playstyle, hate me, love me for it, is Bridge Spam, because it defends with its win conditions, and then it pushes in.
Oh, yes, that's perfectly fine.
I love that playstyle just because its win conditions are defensive, and then they go, so it's like you're always getting value, and then you push. So I think Graveyard is sort of similar, but for me, it's too much of a commitment. Like, Battle Ram, you can push in with its 4. Sure, Graveyard's 5, but you need to support Graveyard with a spell, usually, because the counters, as I said before, this loops all the way back. The only thing you can do on offense is add spells. So, like, if... Graveyard is obviously always offense, so with like Bridge Spam, you can play at the river a little bit. If they kill your ram instantly, you can like put a musketeer and it will shoot whatever's defending. But with Graveyard, it's always behind their tower, so all you can add is spells from that point, and it's really costly, and I don't like it. I prefer Bridge Spam, personally. That's just me.
Yeah, you get more play with Bridge Spam. Like, a Battle Ram can also like bring a P.E.K.K.A. along with it and go on an adventure.
Oh yes, the best.
Yes, the best adventure it's ever been on. But that's one of my honestly favorite things. I've been playing Giant 3-spell a little bit, messing around with it. Pulling a P.E.K.K.A. with a Giant feels so good.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with like a Musketeer in the middle just sniping it down.
Because it will murder it, but it's never going to catch it. So you're like, it's so good.
It's just like, they go the exact same speed. The Giant just like slightly outrunning it. Just like the best game attack that's ever existed.
Yeah, honestly, best interaction.
Anyway. Yeah, I had one more quick question I wanted to wrap up on before we stop. So how do we feel about minor poison right now?
Oh lord, I've never played minor poison in my life.
Oh, okay.
I don't see it often though. Like, it's not something I see. I couldn't tell you why. Do you have a reason? Is this a lead on or?
Not exactly a reason, but like I keep saying against it in ladder. Just like it's this like bad like furnace minor poison like control deck. It just like has like high DPS, but it can chip with furnace. Just like does something. I don't know.
It just does
Like, I'm
something.
sticking around lately. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Just, like, it
don't
kinda,
play
like,
it.
exists.
I've never seen it. Again, I don't think mine needs a buff at all. I don't think poison needs a buff at
No.
all. I don't know how long it's
No.
been bad for, but it may have been the poison, the spell nerf, that they now only do 35% opposed to their 40% before. It could have been that. I don't know how long it's been like bad for, but yeah, I haven't seen it in forever. I just sort of forgot it existed, to be honest.
Yeah, like when someone like Tag just hasn't played it, he's like the best minor
Yeah.
poison player ever. Shout out to you, Tag.
You think
You're
of
mine.
Tag and you
You're
think
my guy.
minor poison, yeah.
Yeah, and then you see, oh, he's not played minor poison at all for like the past month or two. What's going on?
Yeah.
Like that's something I might want to do some looking into.
There you go.
But
next podcast.
Anyways, yeah, next podcast, bringing on somebody, maybe just us. Anyway, I'd like to say thank you, Bailey,
Yeah,
for
no
being
problem,
on.
man. Thanks for having me here.
Actness unfortunately had to go do some real life problems, aka pain. So give him some love.
Get well soon,
Or
Actness.
try to at least.
Leave it in the comments. Get well.
Yeah, leave it in the, get some hearts. Show him some love. I'm your host, Drake. We appreciate you all being here. Have a good rest of your day, night, whatever time it is. See you later, all.
Peace out, boys.